So with our lovely Miss Bella Mae, my neighbors have some machinery in the other section of the building. So sometimes there are some random noises that sometimes can be a little confusing or startling to the babes. So I'm just warming her up with a couple little find its. I did bring her out for another little potty in between the videos. So remember too, anytime after doing a little bit of training or practicing a few skills, we may find that she also needs another rest room moment there. So definitely try to make it where you're making as many good outdoor experiences for being successful in going to the restroom. So that becomes the norm versus the oopsies every once in a while here and there in the home front. So another thing I wanted to show you guys was I'm a huge fan of dog-centric like play. So for example, allowing your babe to do natural doggy behaviors on an appropriate outlet can be immensely helpful for, she's like, yes, hand it over, lady. So can be immensely helpful for puppies that are struggling with other situations like mouthing or chasing the household cat or whatever it might be. Remember though, tired factors do run into that as a typical cause to excessive mouthy behaviors or stress. So definitely things to think about. So this, for example, is what's called a flirt pole. So it is one of my favorite toys. Since she is a little babe, I'm not going to lift it up and over and up into the sky. So you'll notice that I keep the toy low and on the ground. I want her to be able to catch the critter and be able to play with it and then practice also letting go and taking it again. So this is what's called a flirt pole. So to flirt and a pole. I can send along some more information about it. It is one of those games, though, that you'd want to do, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, so don't worry if it's, again, a little repeat, sorry, is that you want to have traction, that the puppy has good footing. So if the environment is slippery, like hardwood floor or tile, this is not something I'd want to play, nor would I want to do fetching to the extent where your puppy is flying and slipping and sliding, because a lot of puppies will injure themselves, and even adult dogs, on flooring that has no traction. So you'll see that this way she can run, and she can practice chasing something, but it's something that is deemed appropriate for her to do so. So a lot of times you're taking these natural doggy behaviors and you're allowing her to chase and catch a critter. And then when she catches it, she can grab it, bite it, and then sort of, play with it that way. This is not a tuggy toy. Tug does get a bad rap, but I love playing tug with dogs and puppies. It's a great way to practice revving the engine and putting the brakes on. So a lot of times, if our pups don't always know how to let go of something they can have, how are they going to learn to let go of something they shouldn't have? So when, let's say, she catches this critter, she may not know how to drop or out or give an item yet. So I'm just going to go, get my little kissy noise rocking, and right into a little find it. So now with my little kissy noise and searching for the crumbs, she found value in letting go, and then she can play again. So now the toy can come alive and she can chase and try to catch this little critter. You'll see that again, keeping the flirt pole low, and I'm only going as fast as I think she could tolerate. If you're making this really hard on her, remember that her joints and ligaments and her growth plates are not done growing and fully developing till about almost 18 months to 2 years, give or take, depending on the dog's breed. So for our little lady, going for big, lengthy walks or doing a lot of hard play with fetching or with even a flirt pole, remember everything in moderation. So you are dealing with a baby, which means that if you're going too hard at things, you might cause skeletal damage. So I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this is where you want to take it easy when you're dealing with a developing brain and body. So right now she's doing a great job. She caught the critter. She doesn't quite know, again, that drop it or give her out yet. So I'm just going to get her attention, do a little find it. And you'll see that a lot of these things that I've mentioned, like my find it behaviors, are your ABCs when you're first learning something new for your puppy, is that a lot of times they don't always know what the big boy, big girl skill might be. So I'm going to go ahead and help them be successful by doing something that makes sense and is easy for them to attain and be successful with. Nice catch. So if, let's say, for example, some puppies have a hard time giving up items, there are some really great videos I'd recommend checking out, which I'll do with her too if you'd like, but they're the toy exchange game. It's a great way to prevent resource guarding and gulping, but also learning that letting go of something is not the end of the game. we tend to, as people, tend to swipe a lot of bad things that we deem dangerous for the puppy out of their mouths. And the problem with that is then we become the end of fun, or the person that's always taking things away. And it could lead to resource guarding or also gulping behaviors. So right now she's caught the little critter. I might go again, ready? Find it. And then go and get her to relinquish the item. Then from there, you could always get her attention, like bring it up a little higher, get her to do a little check-in. So I might go, she's just finding her last little crumbs. Get her attention, and I might say, are you ready? And then she's checking in, go get it, and then we can go right into a little bit more play. So I wouldn't do this for very, very long. So like maybe you do a 5-minute session, if that. Oh, chewing our snacks. She forgot to chew that last one. You all right, cuteness? She's like, gotta hawk it up and eat it again. All better? Woo. So obviously running with snacks that haven't been fully swallowed can be a little tricky for the puppies. So I would recommend that you play for little bits at a time. A lot of times we tend to go, go, go because it's going so nicely and we're like, just one more. And the problem with that is I like to keep them wanting more. So notice how she really wants the critter to start moving again. But sometimes maybe we take a little break. We might work a little bit with that check-in, if I can get my pouch to open. And then we might do a little bit with some little check-in. So she did a lovely job responding to the kissy noise. She's offering a really nice little sitting position. Remember too that with the training treats that you did pack, I do break them up even smaller if I can, if they're, again, treats that I can make into smaller tidbits. Because a lot of times it's much nicer to give several little crumbs, one after the other, to build up many different little skill parts or sets. So that way you're not giving big chunks and now all of a sudden your puppy is super full or gets a tummy upset or whatever, could go in the opposite direction of what you'd rather. Nice. So we might do one more little lap so she can go get that toy. So, but you'll see it again, I'm only going as fast as she can pretty much tolerate and not be rushing her and having her run really, really extreme. So we'll give her a little breather from the Flirt pull. Ready, cuteness? Nice check-in. Feed her for that. I'll do a little find it so I can collect up my toy and get it out of range for the lovely lady. But play is a great way to obviously add some fun, bonding, and also get a little bit of mental and physical energy out constructively. So now that she's a little bit more tired, we might work a little bit on the beginning stages of some of that loose leash walking. So remember too, as I was mentioning earlier, you want to keep, ready, cuteness, training sessions short and sweet. So you may find, do a little bit of training throughout the day versus setting aside one big chunk to train in. So if, let's say, yes, right there, nice, great little reorientation back to me. So I just have a couple little snacks on me. Anytime the puppy is soft and next to me, I'm going to feed her for that. The other option, like I was doing with a little bit with Mr. Z earlier, is when they're nearby, you feed. And then let's say she's doing a great job. I might now send her away with a little find it. See if I can meander away and see if she reorients, yes, back to my side, either left or right. So right now, I just want her to think that there's value in staying near the weird lady. She's going to go grab a little drink of water, which is fine. I just have a little bowl off to the side. So if the babes get thirsty throughout their practice, they can take a little water break. So, but at home, gauge sort of how she's doing with maybe, is she tired? Is she maybe going through another little teething moment? So obviously right now she's going to be losing baby teeth and growing her new adult teeth. They do tend to go through a second teething phase around 9 months, give or take a month or two, depending on the breed, when their bigger incisor teeth are poking through. So sometimes you're like, oh good, we're all set with this lovely teething phase, and all of a sudden it starts up again a little bit into adolescence. So, but for your girl at home, try to think, am I preventing her failing at something by restricting where she can or can't go for now? So almost like you'd baby-proof your home, you want to puppy-proof the home for the puppy. The other thing too is if you're not there to help her through something, prevention through management is your best bet. Then if, let's say, she's out with you and you know she maybe has to go to the restroom or she's becoming very mouthy and going for the wrong items in the living room or whatever it might be, use your leash to help her, like training wheels. So if, let's say, for example, you didn't know how to ride your bike, I would maybe plop on some training wheels, but training wheels alone will not teach you how to ride your bicycle. I would still have to inform you on how to turn, pedal, and stop so you could safely learn, even with training wheels, how to eventually ride your bike without them. So the same thing for now is you can view your leash or your harness and that equipment as training wheels to help her prevent failure while learning, but also keep her safe while she's figuring out the world. okay, I'll be right there. And sorry, my 4-year-old is here helping as well, and sometimes she likes to chime in or has a question. So right here, I lost little Miss B, so I did a little kissy noise, yes, and then she comes running to check in. So make sure that if your puppy is going to fail or get good at something you don't want them to master, prevent that rehearsal from happening or give her behaviors you'd rather have her do instead. So if she is comfortable, ready? Yes. If she's comfortable coming over and as opposed to jumping, she maybe offers a little sitting position, then wonderful. But if her capacity for sitting at the time is out the window because she's excited or overtired, you might find movement behaviors to be better, like find it or giving her an option of a chew item or a puzzle toy to let her soothe and calm down a little bit. But Miss B did a lovely job for her very first day in the program. And then so we'll give her a little breather. She can take a little siesta, and then we'll work again with her a little bit later, and we'll rotate through the friends once more. But she's really doing stellar. So very nice job for little Miss B, who is a little bit tired, but ready, Bella, come. Yes. Nice job, cuteness. And we'll give her a little break.